Yes, hello. I am James Bones. Today it's a WNR580. It's AEW WrestleDream. I'm not alone. Have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show. It is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
It's been a while, but excited to get back into some AEW discussion. A lot's gone on, and we have a lot to catch up with.
Yeah, we really do. And it has been a while. And I don't want to say I missed you, but do you know what I mean? Like, it seems weird that we haven't talked in it seems like a long time. I'm glad we're going to get to
We
catch up.
haven't argued in so long, you know?
I don't know what's wrong with us.
Look at
But
us.
hopefully.
Who'd have
Or we can
thought?
change that. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
change it.
of
Let's
course.
change it right now. Let's have an argument whilst we're being nice to each other. That's a good idea.
Just
Yeah, let's
because.
yeah. We'll see what happens. Well, up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod and honorary House of Torture member is Monty. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I mean, even that exchange was a little too agreeable. You guys agreed to argue later. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's so weird being back. But I'm happy to be back. Always nice. Always nice to be back here. I don't remember much of anything that goes on in AEW at this point. But, we're going to try to, I'm going to use you guys to help jog my memory. Because I'm sure I watched it, but at this point, everything with half naked men and women who grapple each other is on a weekly basis is just merged together in my brain right now. So I
Yeah.
do my
Uh,
best.
yeah. So to join the line. So this is going to be fun. But last but by no means least, and together we will go our way. Together we will leave someday. Together. Your hand in my hand. Together, we will make the plans. Together, we will fly so high. Together, tell our friends goodbye. Together, we will start life new. Together, this is what we'll do. Go west, yeah. Life is peaceful there. Go west. Lots of open air. Go west to begin life new. Go west. Yes, that's what Gina and I will do. Yeah. You all right, Gina? How's it going?
Yeah, we will. We're going left or west.
We're
Either
going
way.
west, whatever that means. I don't
Yeah,
know. I was just like, yeah, it's a catchy song. Let's do that. But yeah, we're going west together. That's what we're doing.
we
How are
will.
you?
I'm all good. I'm all good. I'm so glad to be back. I missed the pod. I missed you guys, and I'm looking forward to delving into some Wrestle Dream.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, we've got a big AEW catch up. But before that, some sad news. Bobby Mo Horn has passed away. People might not know Horn. He NSA fans as a fun loving Mo across a number of promotions throughout his career alongside Mabel and manager Oscar. The trio formed one of the most, shall we say, discussed groups of the mid 90s. Men on a mission. Mo and Mabel did capture the tag team championships from the Quebecers in 1994. And after Mabel won King of the Ring in 95, he crowned Mo as Sir Mo, and they continued in WWE. Horn would go on to share his gift in the ring for another 2 decades. He was part of the original Nation of Domination in USWA and won the PPW Tag Team title alongside Dean Harlem. And Monty, I mean, I come to you with this because, again, Men on a Mission might not be, I don't want to say fondly remembered because, again, it was a different time, but it is quite upsetting to see someone, especially from, the past, obviously pass away, even maybe wasn't the most gifted in ring talent. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I don't want to be horrible to him, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to necessarily overstate his impact, but I mean, like I talk about all the time, we kind of do this every now and then. It always kind of sucks because like, I always feel like as wrestling fans and performers, like it is like a community. It is kind of like a little family. So when you find out somebody, even if they weren't like you said, like the most renowned wrestler or in the best period of WWE, because that's another thing that it's not even just that wasn't really. It was a different time, but like it was a tough time at the, like with like that run that he had and that'll be a tough time creatively. They just didn't have a lot of cool things going on. And but I do say like we mentioned like the run with Man on the Mission, or not even just that, just like his time as Sir Mo next to King Mabel. I know a lot of people hated that, and that, as they probably should. But as somebody who probably wasn't even born when that happened, but like I was born the same year it happened, kind of type stuff. When I look back on it and I saw kind of like that, I'm as a black fan, it's always cool to see any type of representation we get, even if it wasn't the best. Like, yes, over the years, like as a black wrestling fan, I kind of gotten used to us just kind of being handed bull jive
Mm.
for the most part. But I will say that it was always one of those things that I'm not gonna act like Mo was the most memorable or like you said, the most renowned performer, but it is kind of at the time because it wasn't many of us, almost any of us that was on television at the time. It still felt like a trailblazing. Just having them there was trailblazing in a sense. And I know that may sound weird, but like from our perspective, so it sucked. And then, like you said, he did a lot of stuff in the wrestling business because a lot of people just look at what you did in WWE and what you did while you were on television. But he held, from what I've seen and read about, he was a respected member of the wrestling community who wrestled and helped talents along the way for the rest of his career. So it sucks, but it's one of those things that it's one of those harsh things about being a wrestling fan that I feel like we all are just kind of used to. Like you find out someone has passed away in the wrestling community every couple months at this point, whether you watched them or you didn't. So it sucks. But he definitely was a memorable character alongside Mabel, and now they both gone. So it's kind of now when I look at those clips, it's just kind of it's one of those situations where it's like, man, except it's just a different time. But it's like a weird. I don't know how to really explain the relationship you kind of can have with wrestlers that you didn't really know a lot about, but you can respect. And I think I will say that at least had my respect as a viewer, even if I wasn't the biggest fan or knew a lot about them.
Yeah, and again, obviously, we talk about representation because, again, at that time, that's kind of what there was as well. So it shouldn't be looked upon, especially the kind of the nation and everything kind of grew from that as well. But yeah, very sad news. And like you said, Middle Mission can uh, wrestle up there now and big sky, Anyway, I should mention as well quickly before I did promise Gina AEW, and we will get there. But last night as well, I went to Colossus Pro Wrestling, which was one of the craziest fucking things I've ever done. It was like an acid trip, especially when like Spider-Man showed up with everything. I just didn't know what the fuck was going on, but it's really, really good. Trent Seven was there. If you want to hear more about that, then on YouTube tonight, I've got it scheduled. There's a match which is going to be British Strong Style, which is Trent, Tyler Bates, and Pete Dunne all together. And I'll talk about that event as well and go into a bit more detail. But Jaxie, I will say to you as well, because you've been to some, I say local wrestling. I don't mean to kind of disrespect it, but I loved it, because you're so close. You get to interact. The wrestlers were nearby us, and it was a really nice atmosphere. Anybody listening, it's definitely worth it, isn't it, Jax?
Yeah, it just kind of feels a little bit more like personal, like being able to go to those house matches and actually feel like your heckles, your calls, that they're really hearing that, they're really interacting with that, and it feels more personal. So, yeah, I can completely understand the excitement that you get and the adrenaline rush when you're there as well.
Yeah, and also the price. You can take a family there for God knows. You know what I mean, like
Yeah,
a fifth of
exactly.
the WWE ticket or whatever it is now. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely worth it. But we get on to AEW Collision and Dynamite notes. Looks like Hologram was written off TV. He won't be back this year thanks to Fletcher, who defended against Commander in a good match. Daddy Magic, the Paragon beat. Lost to Garcia, Mox, and Claudio. Eddie and Hook teamed up against Keith and Big Bill. Ace Austin has joined the Bang Bang Gang, which was quite a nice callback. Jamie Hayter beat Julia Hart. The Triangle Madness attacked with Queen Aminata, made the save. Jamie, said she wants blood and guts. So we're going to get blood and guts and War Games in the same month. But I mean, Gina, is it too much? Can we not ask them to have them separate months rather than them even competing in War Games matches now? Even though it's good that the women are actually going to get a proper match this year as well.
Yeah, it's definitely sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because part of me thinks, yeah, it's a bit much, spread it out a bit more, build more dramatics towards the next event following the first one. But in other factors, I'm really looking forward to some of the women's matches and the tournaments that they've got lined up at the moment. So I'm also looking forward to it. So right now, the Catch 22.
Yeah, you can never get too much of a good thing, can you? And AEW celebrates 6 years of Dynamite with a 2.5 hour show. Yes. The Bucks have lost the 500k they won. They should take a break from Britain. I'm just saying. They team with Josh Alexander to lose to Bro Dido and returning Kenny Omega. The Faces won, and Jack Perry and Luchasaurus beat up the Bucks. Omega was then attacked by none other than Andrade. Yes, we have not covered it on this AEW show. He went to WWE, to AEW, to WWE, back to AEW, and fuck knows where he's gone now. I mean, this is Jaxie. I'll come to you first. I mean, this is just crazy because at the time it was like, oh, it's Andrade, and it's just like, what has happened since then?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Andrade showing up as well seems like a long time ago now, considering that he's kind of disappeared
Oh.
off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I mean, again, uh, I know that there was discussion about him not being like potentially technically allowed to be seen on a different promotion on TV, maybe. But yeah, it does feel very weird that, if he did know he like that he had this clause, why he would breach that, knowing that there's probably some potential consequences to play. But we've just kind of like he's just gone MIA. So I hope he's okay. But yeah, I don't know how long until we net see him.
Yeah, till he pops back up in WWE, I suppose.
I
Don
was literally
Callis.
going to say he's like a boomerang. He's going back, forth, back, forth, back, forth.
Exactly. Yeah. And Don Callis wants to add him to his team, but no, we're not sure if he is part of it. And again, Carl Fletcher was facing Orange Cassidy. Hologram cost Orange Cassidy, but it wasn't Hologram, it was his clone. He, of course, joined the family as well. They have more members than the Ring of Honor roster. The Death Riders lost to Hangman Adam Page, Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs, with Joe sucker punching Hangman, reminding him, "You never beaten me." Later, Joe agreed to face Page at WrestleDream, promising to remind himself and Hangman who he is. And Monty, this is interesting. Again, a lot has happened since then, but originally with Joe and Hangman, with their match towards WrestleDream, I thought this was quite good because obviously Joe never did get his rematch, and Hangman is a fighting champion.
Yeah, like you said, I think it was logical. He's one of those guys who, because his run was so necessary, and in my opinion, I don't know if Joe gets credit for it, but he did a really good job of helping AEW stabilize after all of the change that they were going through with Punk and stuff, and he did his title run, with the stuff with Max and all of that. That, in my opinion, really stabilized where AEW was. So the fact that, like you mentioned, that even if I didn't necessarily remember how everything ended, but like getting reminded, oh yeah, he didn't get his rightful rematch or another shot. It's like, oh, okay. Well, then it kind of it gives you reason not only to have this match because we feel like we're in a completely different world right now because of where we are now with Hangman being on top. But I love that logical step in that. And then, like I said, I bring all that up about Joe to point out that because of that, I feel like he will always, as long as he's in AEW until he decides to hang it up or until he decides to leave, that he will always feel like a guy who can be a reasonable world title contender because of that cachet and because of what he did. And like you mentioned, it also gives Hangman another feather in his cap as a fighting champion because we know he's not going to back down.
Yeah, without a doubt. Tony Storm beat Tay Mello. She wondered if she hasn't got the title, who is she? And the what chance are still a thing, apparently, in 2025 on AEW. Gates of Agony beat Swell. Hurt Syndicate aren't finished with them. And in the main event, Statlander and Darby Allin beat Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta. I reckon one day they'll bring out thumbtacks in AEW to absolutely no reaction. Time as Tony Storm arrived after a stare down the champion, started brawling. Darby whipped Yuta with a leather belt. Pac made a save and the bastard choked at Allen, while John Moxley promised he would make him say, "I quit." And Gina, it gets to a point now, especially build up to "I quit" match. I think everybody was thinking the only way to end would be literally to kill the other person now. Do you know what I mean? Or gun involved or something like that.
At this point, yes. I mean, both Mox and Darby have both emanated the same kind of vibe that none of them are going to say, "I quit." So at this point, it's okay. Well, whichever one dies first, then I guess, because how else is this match going to end? But they have built it up well because I was kind of back and forth a lot thinking Who is it that's going to actually say I quit, though? I really don't see
Mm.
Darby saying it, but then it's also hard to picture Mox saying it, you know? So I do feel like they built it up well.
Yeah, without a doubt. Collision featured Garcia being a prick to Daddy Magic. Eddie Kingston beat Jay Lislow. Jamie Hayter beat Anna Jay. The Trial of Madness beat her down. Kevin Knight beat Dax. Statlander and Storm had an interesting promo with both laying in the ring. The Triangle returned, but thanks to Harley, the faces were left standing. Paragon and the OC defeated Don Callis family. And then we see Talk Tuesday went up against TNA versus NXT. Still a good show with Hangman and Joe starting, which we talk about was nice build. And there was crazy stats about Chris Statlander and Tony Storm. I mean, Jackson, we talk about this. They have never faced one-on-one in AEW, you know. And the other stat as well, which I really liked, was Tony is beating every AEW Women's Champion apart from Statlander at this moment in time.
It did when they announced that. It did take me a second to kind of really think through it, and I was like, with how long Tony's actually been on the roster now, that's pretty shocking to know that they've never had a one-on-one match. So I think that even that helped build more intrigue to see them face off.
Yeah, without a doubt. Good stuff all round, though. I do like stuff like that. Gates of Agony faced the Hurt Syndicate in a street fight. Remember, P. Bobby and Shelton got revenge on Ricochet. Jurassic Express had their first match since 2022. Bucks beat them down afterwards, challenged them to WrestleDream. And in the Battle of Carls, Fletcher came out on top. Monet beat Lacey Lane, the former Caden Carter. Okada and Takeshita faced Bro Dido, with the Don Callis family winning and becoming #1 contenders at WrestleDream. And in the main event, the Bastard faced Orange Cassidy. I have no idea what Pac was wearing. Darby chained Pac to the barricade for Orange Cassidy to get the count out, but he made it back only to get rolled up. And Monty, again, I was just like, why do that? Why chain him there just for him to get pinned? Like, just let him get counted out at that point. And again, Pac, I don't know what you're wearing.
Yeah, it's one of those like I don't know if I think sometimes it happens in both companies, not just AEW, but one of those overthought like results in my opinion. Like you really, I guess you're still trying to protect them, but he still loses. I don't know. I mean, and it isn't like he loses anything from losing the Orange Cassidy or what anyway. So it's just one of those things that I just feel like they just kind of was overthinking the finish. But yeah, I'm not even gonna try to act like I knew what was going on when it came to Pat's fashion sense. As a matter of fact, that's supposed to be you supposed to be the one helping me. You know, he's from across the pond. So anytime I see stuff going on across the pond, I need you guys to fill me in on, fashion. What's going on? Is that what the blokes is that what you guys wearing? Is what you
No
guys wearing right
comment.
now?
This don't put this on us. This is not a UK thing. This is a Pac thing. I have no idea either. This is not on us.
Well,
Are you sure it's not like
okay.
a PE kit
I'm
for Newcastle?
Oh my God, yes, but like for the 90s though,
Yeah,
or like maybe
maybe that's
even
what
the
it was.
80s.
Jeez. But yeah, no, I have no clue what's going on. I'm also not a bastard, so I can't relate to Pat in any way, to be honest. So
Fair play, fair play. On to Collision, and saying that was a bastard was Kota Ibushi suffered injury in his match with Josh Alexander. Alexander tried to put Ibushi on his shoulders for a fireman's carry, but balance was lost. Ibushi fell awkwardly down to the floor, and he didn't get up. Ringside doctor checked him. Of course, the referee did the 10 count. Alexander was down, declared the victor. And the reports, and we've seen it now with the surgery, that Ibushi suffered a broken femur, and it looks like he might even be out for 2 years. And Gina, again, this is just awful, especially from Ibushi, who we've kind of seen struggle with injury these past few years, and this happens. It's just terrible.
Definitely. I'm so gutted for him and for us fans who have been enjoying seeing Ibushi on our screens, and now this sets him back again, sets us from seeing him. I'm just really gutted for him and I hope he has a speedy recovery.
Yeah, I really do as well. And Mark Davis returned at that point with Kenny making the save, and kind of no one noticed because obviously with the Ibushi news. Don't call them their claim. They beat Big Bill and Keith. Child of Madness defeated Statlander Storm and Cameron. Eddie beat Beast Mortis. FTR and Bane defeated Jet Speed and Nightingale in the main event. And then Dynamite Go Home was a 3-hour special. Like, come on, AEW, just give us more. That's what we want. 3 hours before we have the pay-per-view. Renee Paquette hosted the famous last words of Chris Statlander and Timeless Tony Storm. And they both promised victory. And they charged to the ring where they fought, both refusing to take a cheap shot before WrestleDream. And Jax, as we mentioned, never faced him before, and it's freshness, isn't it? And again, people might not like it, but I quite like the comedic aspect of the feud and the respect they have for each other.
Of between who?
Between Tony Storm and Chris Statlander.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's Tony Storm. Like, she has this dramatic flair, and we've seen this for a while now, so this should come as no surprise. But it doesn't make it any less funnier. Like to see their interactions, I would say. But everything that Tony does is everything is kind of like an act to her,
Mm-hmm. We see Carl and Leona defeat Benjamin and Lashley by pinfall. This was the first time a team had pinned the Hurt Syndicate in 2-on-2 tag team action. Early in the day, Darby Allin and Mox met in a visiting room where glass separated them. Death Rider tried to recruit the Daredevil again. Allin explained he could not trust him after what he did to Bryan Danielson, and he couldn't because Pac emerged behind Allin and beat the fucking shit out of him and smeared the blood all over the glass. Claudio defeated Roderick Strong. Mega Jurassic Express defeated Henchero, Davis, and Alexander. Jamie Hayter beat Sky Blue, with Tekla interrupted the celebration with a pre-tape promo explaining she attacked Hayter on her debut because she was there. She demanded Hayter impress her. Joe Shibata and Hobbs defeated Mortis, Jalisco, and Rush to retain the Trios title. The big goal was to sell the danger. Joe poses to Hangman, obviously, and the Cowboy Knight repeated on commentary saw no weakness in Joe's game. Garcia and Yuta defeated O'Reilly and Cassidy. Megan Bain beat Harley Cameron. And then King, Bandido, and Briscoe defeated Romero, Archer, and Fletcher. I mean, this was a pretty standard Monty kind of AEW. It's 3 hours long because obviously they've chucked Collision onto it. But I just think after a while, it's like 2 hours is fine. And it's like, okay, now we've gone into the matches that weren't really needed. And I hate to be horrible.
No, I really think you can really put it much better than that. I think that's a good roundup of kind of like what we kind of got um, there. And I don't know. I'm not necessarily opposed to it. And I know the people who are like the diehard AEW fans who may not watch anything else wrestling wise other than AEW, they might care. But I do think like that's one of those things with AEW that comes with watching them. Sometimes they do tend to again, I'm not trying to act like this is a bad thing. It's a good thing. But like, yes, they do tend to like force feed you a lot of stuff. But they have such a talented roster. I don't think that's changed. Even if you're not really invested in what everybody has going on, they do have a talented roster of people that you can put in the ring at any given time. And I think this is one of those situations where, like you mentioned, it's like, all right, well, let me find, let's make sure, let's find even if we are just tacking on an hour onto the show, let's make sure we can add as much fluff as we can and put as many of the talents on screen as we possibly can, and not just do it in like some lazy battle royal way. So I do kind of respect it, but at the same time, I agree with your sentiments where it's like, okay, we're just trying to get where we're obviously heading somewhere, but we're taking our time getting there because we know the end goal of this is not to blow our load in a sense. So yeah, I think it's obvious when you get it, but it's like one of the things where it's like, do we have to have it in a 3 hour show?
Yeah, and again, I think it puts people off maybe who aren't watching AEW. I know I understand the diehards and bringing more and more, but the fact is, of like, sometimes you just maybe want to dip in a 3 hour show before a big pay per view might be a little bit off putting, shall we say?
It can be intimidating too, because like you may not even like you got a lot of stuff going on. You're not. Let's say you weren't up on the storylines in a while, and then you just see people interacting, and you can kind of catch up, but then you get this match of people that you may not even know, and like they don't do a lot of hand holding. Which again, I'm not necessarily saying they should. I know the people who love AEW really love AEW, but we also want them to grow and continue to get better. And it's just like, can they do that while continuing to really be so obviously for the hardcore fan. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I do think it's something to at least think about.
Yeah, especially me who's watching it all, because again, and I'm not just saying it like that, but if you are like an AEW fan, then you got the 3 hour show, you had the countdown, which was a 20-minute show afterwards. Then we had 0 hour, which of course is separate to the Tailgate Brawl now, which started in complete darkness. I don't even think AEW knew it was there. Jackson, I will ask you, did you watch the right countdown this time? Or were there matches
Yeah,
on your
I
countdown?
did, but it took me a second to work out that I was in the wrong one again. But I did manage to switch over.
I know. Well, RJ, Renee, Double J did one with Renee was frustrated with Moxley, and she was talking about she can't talk sense to him, and she worries about her daughter, which was really, really good stuff. But probably no one was watching it because obviously everything else going on. Queen Aminata joining the panel with Lance Archer as well and Powerhouse Hobbs. So just the people basically not doing anything. We move on to the Tailgate Brawl, which was the conglomeration: Orange Cassidy, Tomohiro Ishii, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Death Riders. Willie Yuta, Daniel Garcia, Pac, and Claudio. Legal man Ishii turned Pac inside out with a clothesline and hoisted him up for a brainbuster, but Garcia distracted the referee while Yuta clipped Ishii's leg. Pac hit Ishii with a running knee strike and then pinned him. So, Gina, why don't you start us off? I mean, should we actually count these matches anymore? is a question I will ask as well. But it's also a really long match. What I remember from it is a really long match on the kickoff, probably one of the longest in history.
Yeah, it actually was. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad that like wrestlers get the dedicated time to put on a good match for us all. But yeah, when you've got a match card as stacked as you already do, and you've already given us as much as you already have on this same day, did this match need to go as long as it did? No, not really. I mean, it was a great match, don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt like I was still watching a collision at this point, rather than, the official WrestleDream. So I'm not bashing the match. It was a great match, but it was long.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's why I'm not even sure to count this because it did feel like the second hour of Collision rather than, like you said, the build up to the pay-per-view, which I just thought was strange. I don't think we'll hang around too much. Gina, start your score of 5 and then we'll go round.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I don't think it needed to be that long.
Yeah. Jackson, I mean, anything to add to this? Did it strike to you?
Not really. I
What's
have
your
all the
score?
same. I got all the same views, really. I did feel like it was a bit long, so I'm gonna give it 3.25.
3.25. And Monty?
Yeah, it was fun. I gave it 3 3/4.
Yeah, I'll go 3 3/4. Predictions for the WNR Prediction League 2025. This is after No Mercy, but before Crown Jewel and WrestleDream. So the bonus league at the moment, and Jaxie, you would hate to hear, but Gina and I think both won No Mercy. So at the moment, Gina's on 13, and you're
Oh,
tied with me on 16 now with a bonus league.
of course, you can't ever just let me have one, Just typical.
It's all happening because again, Monty might be out the lead in the WWE. Monty is on 9, and Jaxie and Gina are tied on 7. When it's a WWE Prediction League as well, I'm on 5. It doesn't matter. And AEW today, well, Monty's on 4, Gina's on 2, and Jaxie and I are on 1. But we're both last. Predictions for this: we all went Death Riders through all on 1. So good start, everybody. Good start. Up next was Eddie Kingston and Hook versus the Frat House, which was Griff Garrison and Cole Carter. The entrance of the Frat House was not televised. Garrison held Hook, who escaped, which led to Carter accidentally hitting Garrison. Kingston hit Carter with a back fist, and then Hook put Carter in a red rum for the win. And after the match, Sammy Guevara, Roosh, and the Beast Mortis with Jalisco were shown watching Kingston and Hook from the floor. Jaxie, this was just Squash City, really,
I just have a note of just being like, what was the point of this match being on here? It was just to add time again. Like, it really felt pointless of a match, and yet again another like collision-based match, like just being added on here just cause. The only other thing I've got is I don't like Hook's new music, so you should go back to Post Malone. I'm not a fan of it.
To be fair. What are you going to
It
score
was
it?
Action Bronson, not Post Malone. Oh, that's it, Action Bronson. Sorry, my
Different
bad.
white rapper.
Yeah, get it right.
Sorry, yeah, my bad, my bad. Um, oh, I'm gonna give it a 3 because it just didn't need to be on here. It really didn't. It was, and like it just didn't add anything. There was no really real reason for it to be on here. So yeah, 3.
Yeah. Monty?
I don't care about any of this. Waste of time. Yeah, I mean Eddie. I mean, it's good. You said just that they just had it here. They had it here because they had to get Eddie and Hook. And I hate. This is one of those things that I really hate when AEW does. I just hate like you like it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, John. You're gonna lump stuff together. You're gonna find time for people. It's just like then at least make it worth my time. Not that it has to be a competitive match. It just let it actually be worth my time. Don't just throw people on a long ass card. Make it even longer just for a 3 minute whatever this was. And then also they also thought I cared about Sammy Guevara and whoever else looking at them after the match. Like nothing about this thing, this segment was relevant to me.
Exactly,
So
exactly,
two
Monty.
and a
Why would
half.
I care? I did not care at all.
No. So, Monty, what did you score it? Sorry?
Oh, sorry. 2.5.
2.5. Gina?
Yeah, again, I got the same views. It was just pointless, a bit of a pointless match. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see Eddie back. And the the team up between them seems like it might be an interesting one. But this match was pointless. You didn't even really tell us who they were going against until the actual event. It didn't feel like a pay-per-view match. You didn't build anything up to it. It was pretty much just to celebrate that he was back and tagging in this new tag team with Hook. That's it. So again, this could have been on a Dynamite or a Collision. It really didn't need to be on this long pay-per-view show. So yeah, I gave it a 3.
Give it a 3. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 as well. Predictions, it all went Team Heady, so all on 2. Then we got Big Boom AJ and Big Justice hosting a tailgate party in Boca Raton, Florida. That is just what we need. And they said they were coming to full gear to take out Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta and any other Callis family member who wants to get in their way. I can't wait. Trent picked up a service tray and slammed it over AJ's head. Romero held AJ, and then Trent hit him again. Great stuff. Up next, Willow Nightingale, Harley Cameron versus Megan Bain and Penelope Ford. Both entrances were televised. Excalibur announced that no one will be allowed at ringside during the Tekla versus Jamie Hayter match, and the trios match would be for a future shot at the trios championship. Ford performed a moonsault off the top rope onto both opponents on the floor before going to a break. Willow took out Bain with a cannonball from the apron in the ring. Cameron ran into a big boot from Ford, who followed up with a gutbuster. A Harley chant broke out, and Cameron suplexed Ford. Willow tagged in, hit Ford with a Doctor Bomb, and for the win. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
I thought this was okay. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was like solid stuff. I didn't think they tried to do too much. This felt really like a pre-show tag, even though it went a little bit. It went way longer than the squash, but it was just still a solid match, paced decently. I didn't think but I also didn't think they were trying to go out there and steal the show in the pre-show, so to speak, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so I thought everybody did well. Penelope, in my opinion, really looked decent here. Really showed, some of the best work I've seen from her. I think I wrote that down. Nobody noted it. But I didn't have too much else really to say. I didn't take a lot from it. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was solid, and also I can't wait until Willow is firmly put in maybe in the maybe once Chris is done doing what she's doing, at some point she will face Willow or be back in that mix again. Because right now I feel like they've been playing with house money when it comes to Willow for the longest. I think we all know that she can be the face. She really can be the face of this of the division. But they so stacked right now, and so Willow is just kind of doing busy work here. But I did think I thought her and Harley did well.
Yeah, and that's the question there. I mean, Gina, do you think Willow stalled a little bit? I mean, I don't know if it is, like I said, because of just the roster depth or whatever it is, but I thought, if we look at from last year to now, I thought she'd definitely be like champion or, challenging up there, and she's on the kickoff at the moment, you know what I mean, with tag teams and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I really do agree with everything Monty said. I do feel like she was on such a high last year, but they did halt it, and I don't think they halted it through any means of what she's done or repercussions for something that she's done. I think it's more a case of we've got just such a stacked roster right now that there's no space for you up there, but she really is up there. I would love to see her in that singles women's tag women's championship belt picture at some point. I think she's earned it and she could definitely be a top face for the women's division. But I can also see like right now they're still not ready for her to be up there because of storylines that they might have planned ahead for some of the other ladies that are in the running at the moment. So we just gotta hope that, 2026 is Willow's year. She's great though, and she works well with anyone that she's put with. Her and Harley have good chemistry together. I thought it was a decent match as well. I got a 3.25 for this.
Pretty cool.
Oh,
Let me have a
also shout
question.
out to Penelope because I also agree. She looked so good in this match. I actually forgot that she could wrestle this well.
Yeah, no, forward is getting better. I will give the devil her due there. One thing, Jaxie, I'll ask you: are her and Harley an official team, or does Cameron just go around with multiple partners? Because I'm not sure if if she's in a tag team. I think Harley's in a tag team, but she just has different partners.
Yeah, I think she's kind of like the R-Truth of AEW, just turns up forgetting which partner she has. Um, but I kind of like that. She's really fun. She's really over. I don't really have much more to add because I'm in agreement with a lot of the comments made. Um, I do worry that if they don't push Willow soon, that she'll kind of end up potentially being forgotten about because I also feel like at some point you need to push Megan Bain, if not in the tag division, then within the singles division. So, you know, it depends on what's in store for her, really.
Mm. And what would you score this matchup?
I'll give it a 3.25.
Yeah, I'll give it 3.95. For predictions, we didn't see it coming because we all went forward and Bain, so we're all on two. I fucking hate the zero when it fucks us up as well. FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler versus Jet Speed, Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey was next. FTR jumped Jet Speed, referee Wardland by calling for an opening bell. You've only pointed out they were a little over 2 minutes from the start of the pay-per-view. FTR set for a double suplex on Knight, but Bailey caught his partner. Excalibur said the match would not end during the pre-show, and with both teams down at ringside, they cut to a video package of WrestleDream to end the show. In the end, Bailey tried to suplex Harwood from the apron in the ring, but Harwood landed on him and halfway held Harwood's legs full of leverage whilst he got the pin. I mean, what in the hell was this? I mean, Gina, this was definitely something different from AEW for go to a pre-show to the start of a pay-per-view, how very nitro of AEW, will say.
Yeah, I don't know whether like I don't think it was planned either. So I think they just ran on. So they were just like, let's just bleed it into the main show. But it was really weird, especially for those who are watching from across the seas, you know. Um, it's not something that we've seen before or used to, but still, it the match was good. I will give it that. I really like Jet Speed. The more I see of them together, the more I love them. But I also ultimately didn't see them beating the FTR. So
Mm.
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
all my views really.
no, again, I couldn't agree with you. Jaxie, again, well, what I was going to say, this is always going to be a good match. We know how good Jet Speed are with FTR, but there's no
Mm.
stakes. Do you know what I mean? No number contenders or
Yeah,
anything like that. So when it's like, tune into the pay per view to continue watching, it's like, why?
I
You know what I
guess
mean? That's not going to hook me.
it's just more reasons like just shove as many like characters in on one pay-per-view as possible, but it doesn't work when there's not really any pull or drive as to a reason why we're seeing them on the pay-per-view. So I get what you mean. The match itself was good, like, and that is because of the wrestlers themselves are good, but like, give it a bit more purpose because it just kind of felt like, what did they win, a pat on the back?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I swear there was some banging at the start of the match as well. It wasn't thunder, but I don't know what it could be. They might have gone backstage or something like that. Who knows? So Monty, again, I don't think there's much else to add. I mean, I don't know if you got your score as well to start us off.
Yeah, I mean, only thing I do is I give you perspective of somebody who didn't really watch the opening. So I literally the way I got saw this match was the first time the way I saw this match was literally just starting the pay per view and they was fighting. And like I saw some people have some things to say. Some people hated it, some people loved it. I do think it was a definitely innovative, and like sometimes when you do things for the first or do things that people are not used to, it is going to get criticized, but at the same time, some people may think it's one of the coolest things they've ever seen. Me, on the other hand, again, when I went back and I actually watched the pre-show and went back and seen how they kind of set it up, I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. But when you just like when you're tuning in and you're trying to watch pay-per-view, and it's just like they start off with wrestling, it is kind of it just start off in the middle of the match, and I don't mind it per se because again, it's different, but it is definitely kind of jarring in a sense. But I thought it was a cool idea, but I didn't. I'm not gonna act like I am kind of like you. I'm wondering, like, dude, did that work? Like, did you get extra people to buy, or would they have been all like me most likely if I was watching the buy-in and wouldn't have just been like, all right, well, I guess I'll look up the results tomorrow. Like I wonder how many people did they actually get with that, and does that even work? Like I always want, even the regular buy-ins or pre-shows, I'm wondering, does taunting your audience the entire time? Hey, why don't you get the? If I promise, most of the time, if I wouldn't, if the show is about to come on and I haven't already bought it, I'm probably not gonna buy it. But anyway, that's me. Again, the match itself, though, I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a really good match. I thought the chemistry was really good between them. FTR can do no wrong. I'm not really a big fan of FTR when it comes to being baby faces. Not that they suck at it. I just don't. I think they're just so much better at this, and I think them and Stokely and working a team like a Jet Speed gives me those memories of FTR at their best, working the Bucks, working even in WWE pre, kind of getting screwed around the main roster. They were when they would work with the Undisputed Era or work with different teams. You could see FTR was always really, really special at just being great old school tag team heels. And I thought this match was a good example of, I mean, arguing with the kids and ripping up signs. This is the little things that make FTR special, and they still very damn good at that. And Jet Speed is absolutely amazing to watch. So this was good. I gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, Gina, what would you score it?
4.
Well, Jaxie?
Yeah, 4 is fine.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4 as well. Predictions: Jaxie went Jet Speed, the rest went FTL. So Jaxie on 2, the rest on 3. Only AEW would put 2 shows on at the same time and then move into a third. I'm just saying. Lou Fez's wife was interviewed by Tony S. She looked like she knew what day it was. That's a nice compliment. And then we got Jamie Hayter versus Tekla. Hayter started fast, laying into the toxic spider, but Tekla seized control for a good portion of the bout, working over the neck of her opponent. The former women's world champion fought her way back into the match. Defiant, she answered everything the Hill threw at her, only to wind up trapped in the octopus submission even. Hayter broke the submission with a backbreaker. Moments later, rocked her opponent with 2 lariats to score the win. After the match, Queen Aminata celebrated with Hayter while Scar Blue and Julia Hart watched from the stage. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this?
I thought this was a great match between both of them. They both showed off their strength in this match and really kind of like showcased how strong the women division is becoming, with more formidable, potential singles opponents to continuously challenge for the belt. I definitely enjoyed watching these two go one-on-one, but also felt like this was a well-deserved win here.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, Monty, I have no complaints with another women's match on the card. It looks like Jamie's getting back to her best as well,
Yeah, I mean, I'm always happy to see Jamie back on my screen and in this spot, and finally somewhat being treated or talked about like the former champion that she is. Because if I got any concern or any problem with her presentation since returning, it's just that she just feels like another woman on the roster instead of one of the most popular and one of the best champions. But I understand, she was away for a while, and it takes a a minute to not only for her to get in a rhythm, but even for Tony or the whoever's making the decisions to figure out how they want to use her. And I think that might be what we've been getting, and maybe working against Tekla and working against the I don't know I forgot the faction name, but you know what I mean. Working against them
Yeah.
can be positive for Jamie Hayter going for it. It's too many factions, man. It's
I
too
want to
many
say
factions.
Triangle of Madness, but I might be
There you
wrong. I
go,
don't want to.
Triangle
Yeah,
Madness. I
yeah,
think that's right. Yeah, too many factions. There's too many people. There's too many wrestlers. Damn it. Anyway, I'm sick of everything. No, this is really solid. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought, even if it wasn't necessarily anything I hadn't seen before, I thought it was still a really good and technically sound match. And I'm just happy that we getting Jamie back, and hopefully this can fast track her to bigger and better matches. In big spots. And she can continue to be one of the stalwarts of this stacked women's division.
And I mean, we get on to predictions in a minute, but I think Tekla. I mean, Gina, I don't know what you think about this, but the reason I went for her because I think you want strong heels to balance out the division, and kind of only maybe Monet is the one who's like the top heel and just seems a bit heavy. And I think Tekla, this was her first loss as well, so that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I also went Tekla, and I think I went with her because she hasn't taken many L's at this point, So I kind of saw her as sort of another Megan Bain in terms of really strong heels that can't really be beaten. So I was a little bit surprised that she did take the L here, but I also think it was better for Jamie to get that win because we also have to remember that Thekla was the one to attack Jamie way back when.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she deserved to get the win overall. But still, I thought Thekla did really well in the match.
Yeah, and I think this would have been a really good opener. Having the FTR and Jeff Speed match not overshot. Maybe it's. I'm not saying they didn't want the women to open the show, but I suppose they kind of did here. So scores then, Jaxie, what would you give it?
Um, I agree with that. This would have been great to open up
Mm.
WrestleDream rather than having the FTR match bleed into it. So I feel a bit gutted for Jamie and Thekla not to kind of get that hype or get the hype going for the start of
Yeah,
WrestleDream. That being said, I'm going to give this a 4.25.
4.25. Monty,
3.5.
3.5. Gina,
4.
and I'm going to give it 4.25. Predictions. We want Tekla. So Jackson on 2. Rest are on 3. We've got the Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks, and a prize of $500,000 was on the line as Jurassic Express battled the Young Bucks. Back and forth battle saw the Babyfaces dominate to start, cutting the Desperate Hills off at every turn. The Bucks, though, seized control and isolated Perry, cutting him off from his partner Luchasaurus, ultimately receiving a hot tag, and he exploded into the match, wearing out both opponents with his size and fury. The action descended into a wild chaotic match. A Doomsday device of Jurassic Express could not keep the Bucks down as Matt and Nick fought for every dollar of the potential prize. Ultimately, though, the Bayface was driven by the money, and their first victory over the Hills, and were able to achieve that. Just after the match, the victors offered their hands to the Bucks and need to be attacked by the Don Callis families, Josh Alexander, Lance Archer, and Mark Davis. The Bucks walked out to the dismay of Kenny Omega, who made the save and stood tall with the winners. Interesting stuff. But Monty, I was going to say to you, this is AEW in my eyes. When people say, what do you think about AEW? Everything that happened in this match. Do you know what I mean? Like good tag teams, Kenny Omega, everything really.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, it's a lot of. Everything about this is just reeks from their era. If you think the Osprey swerve and Monet era, if you want to call that, that's what this current era is in a sense. And of course, Heyman's kind of been there in both of these eras that I'm talking about. But this definitely reeked of that original AEW original era with the Codys and the Jerichos and and of course the Bucks, Jurassic Express. Like this is that tag division, this is that stuff. And that don't mean I thought they were just kind of hidden bells that we've seen before, even though it had a Kenny and had a lot of the things that we have seen before. But I do think it's kind of refreshing in a sense because of that, because we haven't really seen AEW lean on these particular beats as much as they've kind of evolved as they should. But I do think it's always funny that if it wasn't, as a matter of fact, another thing that kind of reminds me of those days is the fact that without me watching the Young Bucks basically vlog series of BTE, it's always hilarious to me how AEW kind of throws this stipulation. They've done it a couple of times now, where it's like, you know what, we need some stakes for a match. Let's just make it a little bit more important. You know, a great way to make it more important. Let's just say we're gonna get these guys some money, if they will. Let's say we're gonna get this person money, like not a title shot. Not who cares about championship belt? You can win $100,000. Which, to be honest, that to me, in this stock market in America right now, screw a damn title. Just make every match for extra money. Like, what are we talking about? But anyway, uh, but yeah, watching it, knowing what I know from BTE and just how the Bucks are kind of falling on their look, it was funny to watch them kind of be as desperate as they could be to try to pick up the victory. But this is a good spot for Jurassic Express because they kind of need to reestablish themselves and also kind of get revenge for the transgression that the Young Bucks have been giving them, and it's really interesting. I thought this was solid, good stuff, but I wouldn't be mad if somebody said they didn't really care about much of this either, because like we mentioned earlier, this is part of something that we kind of seen a version of all of this before, even if this is like a more updated, different version with a different story being told.
Yeah, but I quite liked it. It's kind of like fan service for like said the people who've
Yeah,
been, like us who've been doing this the amount of times, you know. And
right.
again, we should mention as well that the arena that we were in was the same one where Jack Perry and Luchasaurus Reign as World Tag Team Champions came to an end at the hands of Matt and Nick Jackson, and
Cool.
obviously the older AEW gets, the more history that we get.
Pretty
And
cool.
Gene. And Gina, another thing I'll ask you about this as well. We talk about a lot of Bucks have been consistent, but the amount of different entrances that they've had in this run has been incredible. Do you know what I mean? Like each time it is something different.
I mean, it is. And if you think about it, that takes time and money to make all these individual entrances. So it's like you guys are still having money spent on you in some way. So you should be grateful, you know? But
Yeah.
I really do love the sportsmanship that the Young Bucks are showing in them being kind of made fun of, really, because it is very entertaining and it just works because they have been sort of always the top dogs or always treated well and things like that. You know, it's just funny to see the roles reversed. You know, it's like when you see the McMahon family get shit handed to them in the Attitude Era, you would just like, yeah, you deserved it. So it's kind of that same feeling, you know, satisfactory, but also so entertaining.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I need to say something as well about Kenny. Just for, I mean, Jackson, I want to get your thoughts on the match. I'll get your thoughts on this as well. Because if you told me a wrestler was going to retire because the tank was empty, I wouldn't say AJ Styles. I would say Kenny Omega because it's wild if you compare the two right now. And I know Kenny has a lot of miles, but Jackson, you got to admit, like AJ Styles and Kenny Omega face to face, you think, yeah, Kenny's the one going to hang his boots up soon.
Yeah. Again, I think that's something that not a lot of people expected, really.
Mm. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, Kenny.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on the match anyway? Because again, it's just expressing the Bucks. It's still good stuff.
It is, and it's kind of just rebuilding what like sort of the Jungle Express used to be and what they used to represent, you know. And I think that this is kind of important in terms of what they're probably trying to build towards within the tag division at the moment. I think it's just been a little bit stagnant whenever it comes to the tag division as of late. So, you know, just reintroducing like a much loved duo and just kind of like showcasing like, you know, how well they still work together. And the level of hypeness that they're gathering at the moment is just great, and putting them against the likes of the Young Bucks, who really do well in just making you want to like sort of hate to love them, sort of broke Bucks situation that there's going on. They're just, you know, they're just really entertaining to watch right now. So this was like a lot of fun.
Without a doubt. Right. So scores then, Monty, what would you give it?
I gave 4.5.
4.5. Gina?
Yeah, I'll go 4.5 as well.
Jaxie?
4.25.
I went 4 3/4. Prediction, we all went Jurassic Express. So Jackson on 3, the rest on 4. We had a Tornado Trios match, the Hurt Syndicate versus the Demand. The Hills attacked during the Syndicate's entrance. A pinfall submission had to take place inside the square circle, even if it was anything goes. The Demand controlled at one point, isolating MVP, but it wasn't enough. The dominant Hurt Syndicate recovered with Benjamin launching himself over the ropes and wiping out the Hills at ringside just after launching Ricochet to the outside. Moments later, the artist formerly known as Gold Standard pinned Khan to secure the win and put an end to the rivalry. I mean, hopefully, I don't know, Gina. I mean, this has been such a fucking weird rivalry between the two because it's like we had the street fight and then we had another street fight. It's like, have they worked out what's going on here? But what were your thoughts?
Which one was this one? The Kyle Fletcher.
Hurt Syndicate and Demand.
Oh gosh, yeah. This one. Do you know what bugs me? Is the fact that this tag team, both these tag teams had such an awesome match. I think it was on a Dynamite or a Collision, but they had such an awesome no DQ match there. And for me, that was kind of like the end of it. So from at this point, they're just dragging it on and on and on now, you know? But regardless, I still enjoyed this match. I think all of them work well together. Ricochet is doing the most on social media as well, which helps to antagonize and build up for these matches, you know, because he's just pissing everyone off. Absolutely love it. And the Hurt Syndicate work well together. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed the match for sure.
Yeah, because we had a street fight and then we had this. But at least I suppose the Gates of Agony beat them on Dynamite. Jaxie, is there going to be a trios title run then for the Hurt Syndicate? Because they already done tag team, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, like at this point, it was a bit of a weird one to kind of like wonder whether or not they'd go in back towards the tag division or whether or not they'd look to, you know, go into a trios. But I think, with what we've seen so far of MVP, there's no doubt that we couldn't get a trios run out of them. And why not do it sooner rather than later before MVP isn't able to kind of maybe produce as many matches as he currently is, So I would definitely push them in the trios division. That being said, I also don't know what to do about the Demand, because right now you kind of aren't pushing Ricochet that much within the singles division. So do they get pushed instead, within the trios division? That's the bigger question. So I'm intrigued by both groups, and I think they're doing a lot of their best work at the moment, and it's just been incredibly entertaining watching them feud.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, there's one thing I've noticed as well, Monty, about Ricochet is that he seems to be allergic to championships. I'm trying to rack my brain. I know he's a North American champion, I'm sure. Maybe held the US title for a little while. But since then, it's been, I mean, even AEW, I thought, how many titles have they got? Just put one on Ricochet and let him boast about it, like Gina mentioned as well on social media and stuff like that. He'll be great at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could make it work. I don't know. To your point, I mean, maybe something there. I don't. I'm not. I doubt anybody is purposefully being like, I want to just be really good and not win championships for you. Like,
Yeah.
so I doubt he's like asking them not to do it. I do probably think it may have been something to consider at the beginning, because I do think every new company that gets people who spent time, even if he's not more famous for his time in WWE, he is, at the end of the day, that he did come straight from WWE to AEW, and I do think it's kind of like even Impact kind of had this thing where it's like anytime they got a guy, it wasn't long before they was a Impact champion or whatever. So maybe part of it at first was like, yeah, we don't want to rush into making Ricochet a champion, because we don't want people to think that as long as whenever we get a WWE guy, he's automatically going to become champ. But at the same time, a guy like Ricochet would be a good champion, be perfect, and I think it would be something to consider. I just don't know if they would. I don't know exactly the specifics to why, but yeah, this is fine. I'm kind of on the same boat as you guys about this, where I'm like, And I thought this probably could have just ended at the street fight. I wasn't really sure what the end goal of this was. Like, I do wonder. Like, yes, do we think the Gates of Agony, for example, are in a better position than they were when we used to watch them just always come out and lose from this feud? Sure they are, but are they significantly higher than that in anybody's mind? I don't know. I don't know if this changed any of that for them, and then them losing here was like another kind of, well, there they go again in a pretty big situation, not being able to get the win. But it is what it is. I don't think this is bad, and I don't take away from it. I think if, like you mentioned, if MVP has enough left to really have a trios run, why not go for it now instead of waiting until he's even more of a shell of himself physically? So yeah, I mean, I don't mind them doing it, even though I did immediately originally was like, oh, MVP in this match. Yep, well, Dark Syndicate probably gonna lose. That's my original thought process is. But it's good to get something that kind of go past that expectation.
Yeah, no, I wondered why. So scores out of 5 then, Gina, what would you give it?
I'll give it a 4.
Give it 4. Jaxie?
4.25.
Monty?
Three and three quarters.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3 3/4. Well, predictions. Monty went demand. West went hurt. Syndicate, so Jaxie and Monty on 4. James and Gina on 5. The TNT Championship match, Mark Briscoe versus Carl Fletcher, was next. A back and forth affair that saw neither competitor gain sustained upper hand. Briscoe uncorked the froggy bow on 3 different occasions late in the match, seeking to drive the fight out of his opponent, but was unable to keep the Aussie bad guy down. Everything Fletcher threw at his opponent, though Briscoe had an answer for, refusing to allow him to seize the upper hand. Down the stretch, Fletcher sent the challenger into the referee, delivered a low blow and a brainbuster. Briscoe still kicked out. A look of disbelief on his face, the champion sent Briscoe into the turnbuckle, then dragged him to the top rope, delivered another brainbuster, this one to the turnbuckle, and finally secured the win and a successful title defense. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on Briscoe versus Fletcher?
Again, like I think that they both work really well together. I think they produced a great match. Um, there was a few moments where I definitely was a little bit like, oh shit, is there going to be a title change here? And I kind of second guessed it a little bit. They're doing a lot of great work with Mark Briscoe. I wonder like what other sort of young talent could have been maybe put in this position too. I'm not saying that Mark doesn't deserve this, but I also just feel like Kyle's been like going back and forth with Mark for a while now, so I was kind of like hoping this would be sort of the final one before we kind of see him move on and face other opponents. But overall, I thought it was a great match. It maybe went on a bit too long, a tad too long. But then I might be nitpicking because the show overall was freaking long.
No, I put good stuff, even if it felt a little too long. And as you mentioned, this was the 5th meeting, and Cole has a 3-2 record now. And Monty, this is all right, but as Jaxie mentioned, I was expecting a title change. I thought at this point Briscoe needed to win more than Fletcher did.
Yeah, I mean, especially after Fletcher kind of teased or like already has dipped his toe into the world title picture. I mean, I can kind of see that logic, but I thought this was very good. I don't think these two can even really have a bad encounter. Like they've proven to be really good together anyway. But I definitely agree with you about the length. It was definitely kind of they dragged it out, but I didn't mind it too much because I thought they really did have a great chemistry together. Even if for me, it's kind of funny that you mentioned how you thought that and I get that, I get what you mean by it probably would do more for Briscoe, but for me, my biggest problem with this match for me was because of the tied record and because of where they both are in their careers. Maybe that's why I looked at it the way I did. I was just like, oh yeah, well, it kind of lost a little bit of heat for me because I was expecting Fletcher to pull it out. But I will say this: they still end up telling a really good story, and I think even me, like I'm gonna be honest with you, like and I don't think I was the only one. I always thought that I always was a bigger fan in singles action of his brother. But like what Mark has been able to do, like in his AEW run, and like how good he seems to be at evoking like being not only being a good babyface and just being Mark Briscoe, but just like in his matches evoking the that emotion from the crowd. That's not necessarily easy to do, and I really earned a lot of respect for him as a wrestler with his run, and matches like this are a good example of why. So, yeah, man, I think both guys did great, but you know, it definitely was like one of those things that was trying to be maybe a way bigger match than it had probably any reason to be in the middle of a show like this because we still had so much left to do, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, about that. And Gina, this is the thing I was saying, because Briscoe won against MJF, didn't he? But lost to Fletcher. And obviously, Fletcher proved himself for Hangman Page, but he's still TNT champion. So I don't know the kind of direction they're going. But again, like I said, it was a good match. But the problem is, it's good matches all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. Like you just said, I guarantee we will always get great matches from these wrestlers because, that they're used to being able to put on these shows for us. But it does get to a point, both Kyle and Mark are probably in the same boat, even though Kyle has the belt, is like, what more can they do until they're in that main title picture? And again, with how much Mark Briscoe has been showcased at the moment, I am a bit shocked that he didn't pick up the win here. I thought if anyone was gonna, make Carl Fletcher go like lose his belt after he's been on such a high, with all the wins he's been getting, I thought it would be Mark with the way that they've been pushing him, and especially with his win over MJF in the last sort of pay-per-view. So
Mm.
yeah, it is a little bit surprising, and I'm kind of like, okay, so what are you going to do with both guys next? Who are you going to be the one to take the belt from Kyle? Who is Mark now going to focus his beef on? Because it's kind of getting a bit repetitive now, so you need to make sure to keep him relevant by giving him another different opponent that's not going back to MJF or something like that. So it definitely leaves a lot more questions after the match, but the match itself was still great. Again, we know that these guys can pull off great matches with other people, let alone themselves. I enjoyed the match, so I gave it a 4.25.
Give it a 4.25. Yeah, excellent stuff. Jaxie, what would you score it?
Yeah, I gave this a 4.25 too.
Yeah. Monty?
Yeah, I gave it 4.
Yeah, I gave it 4.25 predictions. Well, the boys went for the Briscoes at Briscoe, and the girls went Fletcher. So it means Monty's on 4, Jackson James on 5, Gina is on 6 with the AEW Women's World Championship match. Titus Tommy Storm versus Chris Statlander next. And the defending title holder controlled the bout early and often used their size and strength advantage to her advantage. And he paused to acknowledge the crowd low, allowed the former champion to mount a comeback. It was short lived as Statlander continued the offense. Running hip attack at the Storm Zero allowed the challenger one more shot of fighting her way back into the match, but the champion popped right back up after the latter, delivering a basement drop kick and added an area 450 splash for a 2 count. Storm escaped the same seatbelt pin that ended the title reign, but fell prey to Saturday Night Fever. She tried for submission, but Storm refused to quit. She had no choice after a second Saturday Night Fever from Statlander, who picked up the win. And we got a show of respect from Storm, who further legitimised the champion in a new role as the face of the women's division, only for Mercedes Moné to interrupt and order her out of the ring. Before we get there, Monty, what were your thoughts on Statlander versus Storm?
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like what we talked about earlier with just so much stuff going on. That I think a match like this kind of get overlooked, but I thought they really did good. I think because we had so much going on, it kind of hazy in my head when I think about the show. But I do think it was a really good. I think it did what it was supposed to do, which is kind of like you mentioned, which is solidifying Statlander as the new champion, as the face, and allowing her to get a legitimate win. Uh, got a legitimate win, in my opinion, over the former champ. But again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying. about having a match like the match they had right before it, where you spend 30 minutes telling this epic like story, but it's not even a world title match, and then right after it, you get another one, you get the actual world title match, and then the energy. Not to say it was bad or the crowd was bad or nothing. It just again they didn't. This only went 15 minutes. It just did nothing about this match felt as big as it probably should have been. When you think about what we kind of have going on, that's always kind of been one of those things about it. No matter how much of a show the women are putting on, and how I feel like in a lot of ways, just in wrestling in general this year, the ladies have been carrying a lot of these shows. It really, the crowd, in my opinion, just were dead. And I thought the storytelling in this match, uh, was really good. And I thought, like, for the first time, Tony Storm, who has been everybody's match, was outmatched by somebody, and Statlander finally kind of reached. Like, think about everything we was talking about, like, for how long we've been here since 2019. Statlander has finally reached that potential all the way from the alien girl to where she is now. So it's just insane that a crowd not. And I'm trying to give them a little bit of a break because I understand you just had like that 30-minute dramatic fist of a match that was great right before it. But again, this comes back to kind of like the crowd, but at the same time, it comes back to pacing and booking. And I just think sometimes AEW, the way they put these matches together and put these shows together, does the wrestlers a disservice. And then it's just on the wrestlers to go out there and do something insane to try to get some of these people's attention back. And it's a reason why I feel like every show is like there's a reason why I feel like every show we need something insane to happen on the AEW card. Well, it's because most of the time they're gonna be 3 hour slogs where it's like, all right, well, we just seen a great match 5 minutes ago. What can these people do to say that, oh, this is even greater? And it's really hard to do that with 13 matches, okay? It's really hard. So I don't think the girls did anything wrong. I thought it was good, but I thought this match was mixing a lot of what a match of its magnitude shouldn't be missing. So again, I thought it was good, but it was just like it could have been so much better in the states. Because of the states, it should have been so much better than it was. So I thought they were okay. It could have been a lot better. And I wish they could have been smoother, not necessarily them in the ring, but just I wish everything about this could have been executed better when you think about what we're talking about. And then going into the Mercedes stuff was annoying too, because again, I'm talking about the greatest AEW Women's Champion of all time, and we're trying to put over our new champion as the current face, and we just kind of immediately get thumped right there. Up, here go Mercedes, and let's just move on into this next. And it's just like, okay, well, that didn't feel epic as it could have been, and that's just kind of where I stand. I know I just talked a lot, but I really had to get that out.
No. I completely agree with you. I mean, we've been waiting for Statland to be treated like this for a long time, but Gina, as Monty pointed out, again, we've been to these AEW shows. You need a break, and again, they don't have like an intermission, which I think would work. I know on pay per view probably fucking wouldn't, but even maybe having like an interview for like 15, 20 minutes with maybe some talent out on there just to make it a little bit different, because you can't sit there for 5.5 hours. It's just not possible.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we're speaking from experience of going to some of these shows in person, and they're not they haven't been as long as that, and I'm grateful because I'm not sure that I could actually last that long without having to get up or something like that. So yeah, I definitely feel for those in attendance, and I definitely feel for the wrestlers who have to who do get the sort of more lower performance from the fans in a way, because the fans are tiring out or the fans are needing a break sort of thing. So an intermission would be a good idea. I don't think that would ever be implemented though.
Yeah, I think you're right. You can see the respect between the two in this matchup. And Jaxie, I don't know about you, but I could watch a detective program with Tony Storm playing the lead, as the character that she was. I think it'd be great. I might watch it over Dynamite every week.
Yeah, I mean, like right now she's doing her best stuff, so why not, But I don't really have much more to add to this. I think that like you've kind of like discussed it well in terms of like what this match really delivered. I'm not really sure. The only thing I could add is potentially like where it was placed on the match card, like and giving it the time that it did. Like I felt like you could have shaved some time off the Mark Briscoe Carl Fletcher match and actually given it more to Stat and Tony just to actually build a bit more. Just because of going back to what I had mentioned about Thekla and Jamie Hayter's match. What stood out about it is that both women really just like kind of felt like they shined in that match, and I just felt like this match was sort of bigged up between Statlander and Tony being like first ever one-on-one, but it wasn't given the time that it deserved. So I just wish it had gone on longer. I don't think that the women did anything wrong in this match. I think they delivered what they could, but like for the time that they were given,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's what
without a
let the
doubt.
match down.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with you. So scores out of 5 then, Monty. What would you give it?
Give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Gina,
Same for
Jaxie,
4 for me too.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4.5. Predictions, we went stat. So Gina's on 7, Jackson James are on 6, and Monty on 5. We got interim Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion Mina Shirakawa answering Mercedes Moné open challenge, putting a gold on line for a shot at dethroning the CEO as the longest reigning TBS champion. Mina frustrated the champion early, but Monet slowed things down, wrestled control the mat from her opponent, and fired off her ode to Eddie Guerrero, the three amigo suplexes. The both faces got the knees up to prevent a fog splash low and target the knees of her opponent as she sought a submission victory. She delivered a glamorous driver but could not score the win, so she reverted to plan from the outset, the figure 4. Monet fought it off in time for reversals and counters to ensue. Each competitor closest to winning the match and leaving with a championship. At one point, TBS champion delivered a moneymaker, but Mina just narrowly reached the ropes. But it wasn't the case. Moments later, when Monet stole the win with a black backslide, draping her foot over the ropes for added leverage. Afterwards, Statlander re-emerged and laid the heel out, signifying, like we said, a rivalry between them. Again, I don't know why they're doing Monet going for the championship again. But I mean, Gina, what were your thoughts on this? Monet is what, 12 belt Monet now? Ultimo Monet.
yeah, I think it's like Ultimo Monet. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I watched like sort of a review video talking about why Monet's being pushed, etc. And I like Mercedes, so it's not like I have any problems with this, but I don't understand why they're putting her in a main title picture again. I don't like I don't like the idea of adding champion versus champion. They did this with Carl Fletcher, I think, going against Hangman Page at one point as well. And although it's a great match and things like this do make sense for me in terms of like when you have like Night of Champions, when you want your champions to go against champions. But in terms of storylines, I just don't think it works. Like you've got so many people on your roster. Why are you not having two separate matches for your TBS champ and for your main champ? Why are you putting them against each other? You're meant to be showcasing your champions as unbeatable, but one of them's going to have to lose this match. um yeah, for me that part's confusing. But excluding that, the match was great as usual. I do think it was on the shorter side again, but at this point, I was just grateful for another match to sort of come and go because I was like, this match card is never ending. So, at, in some ways, I didn't mind that it was a shorter match, but in other ways, I do wish like the matches were like a bit more evenly proportioned, I guess.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I'm so old, I've seen Ultimo Dragon wrestle live, I should point out. Monet came out with some jobbers. And Jackson, the problem was Mina lost to Monet back at Dynamite 300. So it just literally just felt, oh, let's give Monet another title. And credit to her, as 511 days, she has just passed Jay Cargill, but don't you dare mention that name in AEW.
Yeah, I mean, again, I kind of just felt for me at that moment in time because I was kind of like, okay, well, what are they doing here? Because I feel like this is starting to kind of get a bit messy. Like, one minute so and so is a champion, but it's almost like they're just a placeholder just until Mercedes can beat them. So
Mm.
I was wondering where they were going to take things. I guess we'll discuss things further after, like as a result of this match as well, and about where things are going. But I don't really have much more to add, apart from like at some point, like Mercedes has got to take a clean L here, and I just wonder who they're going to give that privilege to.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if it's someone she's lost to already, or maybe someone fresh.
Someone new, yeah. Like
Yeah.
again, Willow, maybe.
Well, yeah, exactly. Great shout there. And Monty, I mean, everybody's pointed it out. I like 3 women's matches on the pay-per-view, but they were the shortest ones in singles action. And I think only the Hurt Syndicate was shorter than these women's matches. So again, there's still work to do, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm not gonna complain because we are getting it, but like, it's like I said, it's the placement. It's the care, overall care. And and back to my point that a lot of Mercedes stands, which by the way, a lot of people, come on, dog. Like I've been watching Sasha since before some of y'all Mercedes fans was born. So quit playing with me. Anyway, like I love Mercedes, so don't get it twisted. I'm not complaining about nothing she's doing as much as I'm complaining about are you going to do anything but book her in these title matches that she's either going to win or she's going to get too close to the sun and maybe lose. And like the thing is, that's my only problem with the stat line thing, where it's like kind of like mentioned earlier, someone has to lose, and in my opinion, you don't book your most one of your you don't book your dominant champion who, and I get it, they have unfinished business because of Mercedes has beaten her, beaten Statlander. And that was like probably Mercedes' best match in AEW, probably up to the Tony Storm feud was pretty much her stuff with Chris. So I get it. I'm not saying I don't understand some of the thought process, but I do think that it is. You already got people looking at her having all these belts, and people are discrediting these belts because they're like, well, I don't even know what this belt is. I don't even know what this thing is, and it like when she wins, for example. No offense to Mina or anybody who's carried that belt, but like, do you really care that she just won a Ring of Honor interim women's championship? No, because most people ain't watching Ring of Honor. Like, it's not really a big deal. It doesn't like that's not what we're used to seeing a championship being brought out. Like, I'm not trying to say I don't understand what they're trying to do because I remember when Ultimo Dragon had all those belts. I get it. To be fair, when he popped up on WCW with all those championships, we didn't know what the hell those other belts were. Like they never really specified anything other than he's a champion in Japan, a champion here, and like I get it. I'm not trying to say I don't understand the reference or why this is a cool thing for Mercedes to do because it is. But at the same time, I do think without a narrative focus, it turns into a okay, who's Mercedes gonna beat this time, or okay, is the champion gonna be able to thwart, Mercedes who beats everybody. And that's interesting. But after a while, it's just like every match. Like even this, you can't even like, all right, I thought this was a really good match. But from what I was watching people talk about it, only thing people were saying was how disappointed that they were that this was the result of the match. Not that Mercedes won, but just like the fact that it was Mina, the fact that Mina has to lose her championship to Mercedes for this to happen. So it's tough, man. It's really tough because I feel like if you attach a narrative or if we can see a narrative point besides the match, then maybe some of these other championship victories or something could mean a little bit more. But I think they're just doing the bare minimum in that regard, and we're just getting the imagery of Mercedes as the ultimate champion, and that's fine. But then if she loses to Statlander after this, and then she already lost to Tony Storm, where are we actually going somewhere, or is she just going to relapse and just take another championship that don't really matter again? Like
Yeah.
what's going to happen? Like, are we going to or we got the women's tag belts coming, and now we know that's coming. The potential of that, we're gonna talk about that. So it's just like she got so much going on. It's just like, what is the end goal of this? Is it an end goal? Are we just gonna let her dominate and win? And that's the goal. The goal is to make one of the. By the way, before she signed, she's already one of the greatest women of all time. But yeah, the goal is just to just let her win as much as possible, and because she didn't win enough in WWE. Is that the whole entire run? Like, is that what we do? Because it's fine. I'm just saying. After a while, it's fair for people to be like, okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah, without a doubt. Right, so scores out of 5 then. Gina, what would you give it?
A 3 3/4.
3 3/4. Jax
Same.
and Monty.
Yeah, 3 3/4.
I'm going to give it a 4 predictions. We want Monet, so it means Gina's on 8, James Jackson on 7, and Monty's on 6. We've got the AEW World Tag Team title match next. Prodido versus Takeshita and Okada, with simmering tensions between the Don Callis family teammates as they challenge, of course, Prodido. They operated like a well-oiled machine early, working over King until a hot tag. The reigning Ring of Honor World Champion sparked to come back for the baby faces. The fight spilled to the floor where King delivered a crossbody to Okada that snapped a guardrail in half. Back of the ring, though, the champions got a bit ahead of themselves and attempted Macarena, only to be leveled by the challengers. It's happened to me all the time. Bandido sparks a second comeback, Rocky Takeshita with a spinning back fist. Action broke down from there with each competitor hitting signature stuff, culminating with a shooting star press from the masked babyface to Takeshita for a dramatic near fall. Several minutes of chaos ensued with escalation with a four-way German suplex block that left all 4 competitors down. Eventually, Okada delivered a Rainmaker to Takeshita, and the champions took advantage of Bandido, delivered a 21-gun suplex to Okada for the win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this?
This was just one of those ones where, like, you were just kind of greatly anticipating, are they or aren't they going to get along? Are they or aren't they going to, like, pull this off? And yeah, the moment that Okada just hit that Rainmaker, I knew, oh, okay, they're not going down this route. It's like watching like a bunch of alpha males in the ring, just not wanting the other to take any sort of dominance. Really, it was highly entertaining as well as just great to see sort of like Okada just having so much fun in this role. So yeah, for me, I kind of was thoroughly entertained throughout this whole entire match.
I know you're Okada's biggest fan, but would you say this was maybe a little bit too long as well?
It was.
Yeah.
It definitely was. Again, that like I think that's something that I'll just kind of repeat throughout quite a few of these matches. That if you'd have just shed a little bit of time off of these matches, then you could have given it more so to like more deserving matches that could have benefited from going longer. So yeah, I think AEW has a timing issue
Yeah,
at this
without a
moment in
doubt.
time. But then again, also just don't give us so many long match cards
You
when
take
there's
him as 30 matches, yeah.
yeah.
Again, Okada was pinned. And Monty, is it weird for you, him being so close to the IWGP Championship? Like for me, Jordan Grace and the Knockouts Championship?
Not really. Not really. I get it. I get what you mean, but I mean, maybe if it was the old gold belt, the belt, he always hated that belt. He didn't like the design. He hated when Naito merged the other belts. He always liked the other one. So I mean, I can't. I think I kind of noted know that about him. So I guess I don't really associate him with that belt as much as I associate maybe hell, I associate evil with that belt more than I associate him with it at this point. But but yeah, so I get it. But yeah, no, it don't really bother me so much. The only thing that really, I thought this match was insanely good. The only thing that really bothered me about it was it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the time, and it's just like you say, it's so long, and it's just like that's the only thing is I gotta question the logic. My thing is if you're gonna kick your teammate in the balls, why get your ass whooped for 20 minutes before? Like why fight for 20 minutes just to do it then? That's the only thing about it. Like was it still funny or like cool? Sure. I get a laugh. AEW Okada is the most hilarious wrestler in the world to me because he's just so opposite of the serious man. I don't know if it's just because Japan is he's just supposed to be more serious as the ace of New Japan, or maybe it's because he don't have that problem to even worry about no more. He can just do what he want to do in AEW and still have good matches like this one. So no, this match was incredible, and I think we all knew it would implode, but like I was like I think why not have the odd couple tag championship thing and it still could implode. You didn't have to do it then.
Hmm.
But I don't really matter. I don't mind it imploding before it happened though. It's just again my only question is why make me sit through 25 minutes of you struggling just to do it.
Yeah.
That's all the thing about it. But it was still good.
I should mention there's a spoiler for a New Japan catch up in a couple of weeks as well. I'm not going to say what it was, but it was there. Gina as well. Again, it's a fun tag match, like I said. And I wish I watched more Ring of Honor for Bandido. Like, I don't add more wrestling, but Bandido's so good. It's like, I should check him out more because he's always fun. You know, we've talked about Takeshi Nakada, you know, and of course Brody, but Bandido's one that stands out for me at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I agree that I feel out of everybody in within the ring, I don't really know Bandido as much as I do know the other wrestlers. So it does make you question, should I watch more? But that's the question. Do I have time for more wrestling in my life when I'm struggling to stay afloat right now? So yeah, I honestly would love to see more of him. So that's another great reason why he's champ, I guess, because we will get to see more of him showcased in AEW. But ultimately, it's just going to be difficult for me to try and watch any other wrestling platforms. So it will just be AEW Bandido, I see. But he's great.
Yeah, no, I mean the YouTube clips I've seen are great. Do you know what I mean? Like we'll leave it at that for now, and I'm sure at one point when we all got time. So again, we talk about a great match. Jaxie, what would you give it out of 5?
I'll give this a 4.
4. Monty.
I give it 5 stars. This is great. But I will say this, as far as the Bandito thing goes, the good thing is about him is that I knew he was great before he ever did anything with AEW when he was Ring of Honor. So I just take y'all word that he's just doing what he was doing back then.
Yeah, I'm sure he's great. Yeah. Gina, what would you give it?
I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I'll give it 4 3/4. I thought it's probably my match of the night. Predictions all Takeshita and Okada. It means Gina's on 9, James Jackson 8, and of course Monty on 7. As we've got the AEW World Championship match, Hangman Adam Page versus Samoa Joe. Joe attacked Page with his trademark strikes and submissions, looks to make history with a second world title reign. He punished Page, pushed him to the brink of defeat, but failing to put him away. Showing toughness and resilience, the champion fought back in the match with a deadeye that nearly put Joe down. From there, Hangman flattered the challenger with a buckshot lariat and scored the pinfall victory. But it was after the match where the Ops powerhouse Hobbs and Shibata joined the combatants in the ring. Just when it appeared Joe's about to show Page respect, he flattened him, beating him down, and laid him out with the world title. Page delivered a muscle buster onto the world championship and left with teammates while security and medics checked on Hangman. So, Monty, what were your thoughts on this? Because this was, like I said, half match, half angle at the end.
Yeah, it was a nice slugfest. I think at the end of the day, I'm a big Joe fan. Joe's one of those guys that I've been a fan of since I seen him way back in the mid 2000s in TNA. So, this is just even though it was kind of clunky, even at his advanced age, a Samoa Joe match is going to be a really good time. I thought this was solid. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but I do think the fact that they kind of made everything matter 3 buckshots in a row just kind of show you exactly where they kind of think or still kind of the respect they put on Joe's name, and I kind of love that. But yeah, in the angle after the match, I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, we know Joe's strong suit is always kind of being not. I don't even know if I would consider it a bad. The thing is about it, Joe is so cool, or he's just always
He's
been
just don't give a fuck,
such a
yeah.
badass. Like, yeah, I don't even know if I even look at it as like a real heel turn. Like, I guess that make the ops bad guys because they attack them, but it just felt like a Joe move to me. It didn't really feel evil or anything, It didn't feel like what the Death Riders got going on or whatever. But at the end of the day, I do think it was cool, and I thought everything worked. And I don't know. I don't know about the. I don't know about the only thing about it is just like I thought this did what it needed to do, right for Hangman. But it's just like, do we need a sequel? And is that what they're if that's what we're trying to do? What's going to be so crazily different about it? And do we want that? Like, do we want a match that's potentially the ops interfering to make what we just saw maybe even more convoluted and clunky? I don't know, but maybe I'm overthinking it. But I don't mind the angle as much though. That's just me thinking about it out loud.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we need in AEW is more heel groups. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's
Yeah,
not enough
exactly.
heel stables. Come on, let's band together and let's do this. And again, as you mentioned with the crowd, I don't know if they were tired, but they were quiet at the start of this and the previous 2 matches as well. But Gina, doesn't Samoa Joe being champion seem longer than a year ago? I couldn't believe it. I was like, has that only been a year?
Yeah, it did. It does feel like it's been longer than that in a way. But then again, we say that the year goes by quite quickly once we get
Thanks,
to the end of
Moxley.
the year. Yeah.
Moxley's frame felt like 10 years, so I think that's what
It
it
did,
was.
yeah, it did, to be fair. I don't want to cut off Gina there. But yeah, we talk about it as well. Hangman has only main evented All Out since winning the title at All In, which again, I think, I mean, Jaxie, is this a case of like a longer reign then for Page? If he's not going to be main event, it's like he's going to hold it for a while, so we can put him, second to last.
I mean, possibly, but you can also argue at the numerous amount of matches that they've focused on building up that they neglected to build up anything, some sort like decent story with Hangman, and we've seen this happen before. So, I mean, it's questionable, but I just don't want this to reflect badly on sort of Hangman's reign being like, not as uh good or impactful or left its mark. So hopefully like the storylines will pick up for him.
Yeah, without doubt. Right, so out of 5 then, Monty, what would you give it?
4.25.
What, Gina?
Yeah, I'll go 4.25.
And Jaxie?
Same.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4.25. Well, prediction went Hangman, so Monty's on 8, Jackson James on 9, Gina's on 10. As we get to the main event, and two of the toughest, most unpredictable, and dangerous competitors in AEW settled their long rivalry in the main event of WrestleDream as Darby Allin and John Moxley squared off in an I Quit match. Rini Shafir twice played a role in the match early on, including moving Moxley out of harm's way and even Allin to crash and burn during a coffin drop attempt on the ring apron. Moxley punishes the opponent with his own belt, whipping him relentlessly in an attempt to get him to utter the words that would end the match. Defiant Darby dared his opponent to bring more pain and suffering his way, and Moxley obliged. When Allin fired up, Moxley cut him off to retain the upper hand. Moxley answered lighter fluid with a taser, as you do, and trapped him in a bulldog choke while the Death Riders teammates produced a pair of tables from under the ring. Claudio hoisted Allin overhead and proceeded to gorilla press slam him from the ring all the way to the announce table outside an incredible spot. Moxley added a Death Rider through 2 tables set up at ringside, and the commentary team wrote him off. From there, chants of "This is murder" reigned from the stands as Moxley attempted to drown his opponent in an aquarium. The arena darkened, and when the lights came back up, Sting stood behind Moxley with his trademark baseball bat. After smashing the aquarium and clearing the Death Riders out, he tossed his former tag team partner the bat. Darby proceeded to punish the former world champion with it, delivered a Scorpion Death Drop, and added a coffin drop, applied the Scorpion Deathlock in the broken glass, we'll call it that, and Moxley did indeed quit. Gina, I don't think they used enough. I don't think that it was overkill. You know what I mean? I was, I was a bit disappointed, really.
Yeah, it was pretty tame compared to what I had pictured in my mind. I did expect a death at the end too, so I'm
Yeah.
pretty disappointed that,
Okay.
the crowds chanting "This is murder," they didn't get what they chanted for. So but no, this match, honestly, every time you think of a Mox match, it's gonna be dark, it's gonna be bloody, and it's gonna be as brutal as can be because that's all that Mox wants in his matches. So it's no surprising that this is the way that the match went, especially because Darby gets off on that same type of shit. So yeah, I expected this match to go hard. Did I expect to be watching Darby Allin getting waterboarded or drowned or whatever? No, I did not. I'm glad he didn't drown though. That might have been for bad TV, but still, it was just a crazy match. There was just so much to pick that you can say were great spots. They both were just out for blood. They both just wanted to take each other out and murder each other. Um, I'm not surprised that it was Mox over Allen that said I quit, but it's just because I don't even think Darby Allin knows those words. So he was going to have to give if he wanted to go home to see his kids and his wife. So yeah, either way, it was a great match. If anyone's going to go back and watch it, I would say it's a great match to go and watch if you're not squeamish.
Yeah, you just reminded me of Bobby Heenan line when he says he doesn't know the meaning of the words "I quit," but then again, there's a lot of words he doesn't know the meaning of. But I'm not saying that about Darby. When he did get waterboarded, though, again, my mind was elsewhere. When the paint goes off, I go, he really does remind me of Aaron Paul. Like I don't know what it, I don't know what it is, but yeah, good to see Sting. Jaxie, you either loved this or hated it. And for AEW, it's for the sickos, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of proved this time and time again before, so we shouldn't have expected any different. I would just like one word to sum this match up was just exhausting. I was exhausted watching this match. Um, just so much was given, and a lot, like my sister said, if Mox hadn't quit, then we probably would have just ended in death, which no one would have actually wanted. So yeah, hopefully this kind of like ends both of their reigns of terror on each other for a bit. And we might see them both in like different matches or focused in different storylines from now on. But yeah, I was exhausted by this match.
But again, it's quite interesting, and not to give Mox credit, but Monty, as we talked about, he knew what Darby could do. Even in the build-up, trying to recruit him as a Death Rider because he knows how far Darby would go, further than probably any other member of his group, so to speak. So again, that might be interesting. But I mean, maybe the visual of the wet AEW flag didn't have the right ring to it. I can see what they were trying there, but it was all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really. It was violent. You know, the aquarium. I don't know what to tell you about it other than it's exactly how you describe it. I saw people got have had. I just don't know what people expected. Like that's the only thing I say. I feel like this is one of them pay per view main events that you probably could have. I know people pay their hard earned money and you don't need to, but if you're squeamish or if you don't know what you're expecting from this match, then or if you, I don't see how you didn't know because like they've already kind of grazed in both guys in a lot of their matches. They kind of went either a level further or at least right around this same style in the past. So, it was okay. It was good. I didn't have a problem with it, man. Just watching two guys harm each other is what it is. But to act like what I was invested or I was interested in it or I thought this was fun, that would be a lie from my point of view. I didn't really care as much, and I also didn't really like. I didn't mind it because it's always great to see Sting. Sting's a legend. But it's just like to me, it kind of back. It's like they went back to like a safe Darby Allin finish where it was like, oh well, here we go. It's back. Let's call Sting back. We know people love to see him, and let's have him. Because I was hoping after the Sting thing was over and he started using the Scorpion Death Drop and stuff like that, that he wouldn't necessarily need it. And I felt like you couldn't tell me he was better than Moxley without needing him. But to be fair, Moxley still had his game, which is at the same time also expected. So again, it was okay. I don't hate it. I thought again a good I quit match. Uh, but it was just still it's like one of those things. If you didn't care for it, I'm not gonna act like it was any better or any worse than any other attempted murder matches we've already seen from these two people. So it was what it was. I'm glad it's over. I will say that. And I do think with everything Moxley puts people through, it doesn't ever really take as much as he dishes out to make him quit. And I always think that's funny. Like you ever notice, like the things that Moxley try to do to people is 10 times worse than what it usually ends up making him quit, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Like you said, the fork in the face, but again, it would take just a normal submission to get the job done. But anyway, this is AEW. It's what happens. So scores then for the main event. Gina, what would you give it?
I'll give it a 4.25.
4.25. Jaxie?
Yeah, I'll give this a 4.25 as well.
Monty?
That was four. 4.25.
Yeah, 4.25 as well. Yeah, the problem is with AEW pay-per-view, same with the podcast as well. It kind of like, it does drain you. So we're going to try and pick ourselves up. So we have got some Dynamite notes and that. So I'm just going to, do a little bit of stretches as well. So yeah, 4.25 there for that. Predictions all went Derby. So the final scores, Monty on 9. What has happened to Monty, everybody? Oh my God. Jaxie and James on 10. But your winner is Gina on 11. So well done, Gina. G-site.
Way! The G site came back to me, guys. I'm so happy. I'm gonna have to keep on to it.
Nice.
No, it's good. And this makes things really interesting now because it means the AEW with Full Gear and, of course, World's End, which we count still to come, the battle for last with Jaxie and James locked on 1. Who's going to get that? And Gina's on 3 now, just 1 point behind Monty. So the question is, will Monty throw it away? Can Gina catch him with AEW with Full Gear coming up? You know, it's so exciting. I love it. Overall, then, this pay-per-view it's still too long. I don't care if there was 13 5-star matches. It would still be too long for me, you know, and that's what I'm going to say anyway. So score, I mean, I'm going to give us an 8 3/4. Again, not bad. My match of the night was the tag team title match, Okada and Takeshita. My MVP, I'm going to say Jack Perry, because where you think Jack Perry has been to where he is now, it is great that he's back, and that's hope, consistency, and we can see him in AEW a little bit more. Monty, I think your match of the night was also Takeshita and Okada. So who's your MVP and rating, please?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't have an MVP, to be honest. I really don't. I really don't have an MVP.
I struggle with Jack Perry.
This show was just a show. And it's funny when you start mentioning the prediction league. To be honest, like, and I'm not trying to save my butt here. It's just like I don't remember a lot of what I was even thinking for this show. To be honest, so that doesn't change anything. Like, I'm gonna have to obviously up my game if I
Keep
want
it
to
up,
win.
mate. Keep doing what you're doing, all right?
Well, hold on. First of all, if this was, I'll take anything from Gina because at least she's close. You got one, and you lost again here, so like you can't tell me anything. But anyway,
Hey.
back to like the show rating. The show just was what it was. It's just another one of those lengthy shows. I do think, I do wonder. That's why I like talking to you guys. But I do need to ask. Do like the diehard AEW fans who watch this stuff all the time, like do and maybe I'm the wrong person to say this because, like I said, at this point, all wrestling it makes me sick. Like I've watched too much of it. I'm getting tired of everything, to be honest.
Welcome to
So,
the
like,
WNR.
yeah, I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of all of it. It's like I can find, if, as a matter of fact, if I was doing my own show right now, it would probably be on how much on everything I don't like about wrestling. Now that could be multiple podcasts at this point because that's where I'm at right now. But anyway, I guess y'all 7.5 overall MVP. My favorite moment of the night was Okada's face after he did the clothesline. He's having fun. So at least Okada's having fun. So I give him MVP just because he's having fun.
Gina, having a look at yours, looks like your match tonight was Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. MVP and rating as well, please.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7.5. For me, it wasn't the best WrestleDream. There was better WrestleDreams, I believe. So it wasn't my favorite. So 7.5 is fine. I'll give my MVP to Chris Stat for winning the belt.
Nice. Jaxie, you are so undecided. You've got so many 4.25. So I need what your pick is for match and the MVP and rating as well.
Okay, I'm gonna go Young Bucks and Jurassic Express, I think, for a match of the night. I'm like Monty, I don't really have an MVP if I'm honest, but if I have to choose one, I'll go with Okada because of the same reason I said before. He just looks like he's having the time of his life in this character and what he's doing with Takeshita and alongside the Don Callis family at the moment. So I found him very entertaining throughout his match. But overall, I really just wasn't impressed with like the caliber of matches. Like there was none that really overly stood out to me as like sort of iconic or one that I would take away permanently as a permanent reminder. So I mean, I'm gonna give this a 7.
Give it a 7. Yeah, that's fair enough. Like I said, it has taken it out of us, I will admit, WrestleDream. But again, like I said, overall, not too bad. Right, on to Dynamite now. The Ops beat the Hurt Syndicate to retain their trio titles thanks to Ricochet, so it looks like the feud might not be over. Joe explained that they considered every championship his to take. Darby Allin said he's here to protect AEW. Do you remember when Tony Khan said he wouldn't be an on-screen personality? Well, that's changed. Hayter and Amanata defeated Ford and Bane, Blue and Hart and Willow and Harley by pinfall to earn the right to choose their first opponents in the Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament. Yes, AEW revealed the championship bracket. The following matchups were confirmed. Hayter and Queen Amanata versus Julie Hart and Sky Blue. Willow Nightingale and Harley versus Monet and Athena. Megan Bain and Ford versus Anna Jay and Tay Conti. Storm and Mina versus Windsor and Rio. And before the bracket reveal, Monet complained, with Athena accepting. And afterwards, Mina called her team the Timeless Love Bombs. So, Gina, I'll come to you first. We talked about tag team titles. They're finally getting introduced. What were your thoughts on the bracket and basically on the tag team division itself?
Yeah, I was excited by the announcement, to be honest. I think it looked great, the brackets that they had lined up. I kind of was trying to do some guesses of who would be in these brackets when the tag belts were first announced. So a lot of the teams that I did think of were going to be in it. I mean, there are some that I'm thinking are these guys in it just to take the pins in some of the earlier matches? Yes, but I also think that they deserve to be in the tournament, such as like Ty J, because they have been a solidified tag team since the beginning of AEW or the start of AEW, you know. So even though I don't believe someone like their tag team is going to win, I'm glad to see them a part of the tournament. It's also nice to see some of the newer tag teams that have been working together recently be put into the tag team tournament, such as like Queen Amanata and Jamie Hayter. I like their tag team. I also like Willow and Harley together as well. So yeah, again, I think some of the matches that they've put together are really great, and I look forward to them. Others, I do feel like they've just put them together so that they can make sure that one team in particular gets the win. But either way, I'm excited to see who gets to be the first tag team.
And Jaxie, it's important as well, as we spoke about, not just because of the bracket and not the hype from it, but to actually be able to book, a proper division from it as well. Do you know what I mean? With stories and have the titles actually defended with meaning.
Exactly. I mean, I think that it goes to show that, like, I mean, from impression so far, they're looking to shine more of a focus within the women's tag division, which means more time. But right now, as we've openly seen, they've had one of the longest pay-per-view events take place and not divided that time up appropriately for the matches delivered. So I hope going into this tournament that they will just give it the time that it needs, because in order for there to be a women's tag division, you need to actually solidify that tag division by creating more opportunity, more storyline, more time for each of these women, each of these tag teams. So I hope it's just like one that's not going to be forgotten about for a long time. They really need to shine a focus here. So
yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Renee Paquette announced Mercedes Monet with big hype video, only to find herself speaking to Mini Monet. The CEO arrived, aggravated by the puppet mockery. She pulled Harley Cameron out, but it was Chris Statlander who popped out and sent the CEO face first into a celebration cake. Look, you either love it or hate it, and I like puppets, so get over it. Kyle O'Reilly made Moxley punch referee to save himself. Monty, the story, as again we'll talk about on the next Dynamite as well, has Moxley lost the Death Riders? Has he lost his cutting edge? Is there going to be a replacement there? Do we care?
Nope.
What it's like they're doing though, I suppose.
Reason why I'm an honorary House of Torture member and not a Death Rider member. So break up for all I care.
All right. Well, Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Strong defeated Yuta, Garcia, and Claudio. We are getting Mark versus Carl again. Yes, just when we thought it was over, they're announcing that. And then the main event, Okada was overwhelmed in moments by Bandido, but he found a way to survive and got the win with the Rainmaker. With the whole Don Callis family arrived to celebrate, except Takeshita, who came out late to stare down the Rainmaker. And Jaxie, this is the main match now, isn't it? It's your man Okada and Takeshita. That's the money match in AEW at this moment in time.
I mean, this is what they've been slowly but surely building up to, and both wrestlers have been just doing an excellent job at building this hostility. at wanting to see this blowout between them. So, I mean, I love both Takeshita and Okada. Of course, Okada is my man number one. But in terms of the caliber and the talent within the ring, both men are amazing, so they've just been doing really well showcasing this and amping and building this up. I look forward to, us finally getting this big blowout.
Yeah, without a doubt. On Collision, Pac beat Aishi, Tekla beat Mina, Tegan Knox debuted backstage, and in the main event was Bucks and FTR versus Jet Speed and Jurassic Express for 400k, with Jack and Saurus winning. So, Gina, that means that Jurassic Express nearly won £1 million in prize money in 2 matches. Do you ever think we're in the wrong field right now? Do you know what I mean? Maybe we should try it for AEW.
I need to just, be causing problems in a wrestling program and just make some money real quick, because Jack Perry seems to be doing it well.
I don't know if Tony realised. Oh shit! Yeah, you did get that money before. In the end, they've won like 8 million. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's either that or give it back to the young Bucks, who kind of funded it, really. So yeah, they're gonna just have to.
And then we finish on Friday Night Dynamite with Trick or Treat Tornado Tag, Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy beating Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. It was good news, bad news for the Bucks. So they didn't become number 1 contenders, but they did get their pyro back thanks to Don Callis. FTR with a team who won the match, also featuring Jet Speed and the Jurassic Express. Monty, again, I want to just point this out here because, I do really like the Young Bucks. I don't know why they're so against going into the Don Callis family when they are heels. But is the story now FTR with the titles? Is it going to disappoint a lot of people when Cope comes back with Christian's challenge for the AEW tag titles?
Nope. No, I was just playing. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure it might disappoint, but the tag division, having FTR around the top should stabilize in any way. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of with you, but I don't. I also understand not joining. And again, long standing, they always told Kenny not to trust Don Callis, and I know they've been at odds with Kenny, and I think they might be closer to actually learning their lesson than they are probably going as far as joining Don Callis. And to be honest, it's a pure numbers game, man. What the hell? Why the hell I join with they got too many damn people? All right. If the Bucks went from leading their own group to like joining Don Callis and just blending in, I think that'll be boring. So, I don't know about the tag division, but I do think that that's probably the what you just suggested with FTR ending up having to fight Cope and Christian eventually is probably the end goal, but we'll see.
Yeah, we're talking about Don Callis family. Luckily, we had the Don Callis family summit. Who is the family? Well, Rocky Romero answered with an ugly painting of the whole group. What is the family? Josh Alexander presented a dramatic video package highlighting the group's dominance. Why is the family? Carl Fletcher went over the oath to have asylum. How does the family work? Callis explained that everything goes through him. Takeshita arrived late but was cut off with Callis, who asked him to shake hands with Okada. When the Alpha eventually did that, Rainmaker gave a middle finger instead, and Callis then demanded they team together on Collision. And Jaxie, you're Okada's such a prick here. Do you know what I mean? Takeshita swallowed his pride and he disrespected, and Don Callis didn't do anything. He's scared.
I mean, this is it's a kind of showcase of like sort of trying to undermine your opponent, and in this sort of like lineup, Okada is the sort of like senpai, so to speak, the elder, the one who should know better, and instead he's antagonizing the situation. And I feel like there's a little bit of like intimidation that is at play here, from Okada, to be like, have I still got it in me to be able to take someone who is right now in a lot more of a active position than I'm in terms of stamina or anything like that. So I think this is like the first time that we're maybe seeing like a cockiness coming from Okada, but in order to mask a potential fear,
Yeah, without a doubt. Another person with fear was John Moxley, who just can't beat Kyle O'Reilly. You're in trouble when you can't beat him. It was a double count out afterwards. The Death Riders stuck And the conglomeration Darby Allin arrived. Mark Briscoe gave the mic to Orange Cassidy to declare the need for blood and guts. Yeah, it's just what we want. More blood and guts. That's what we're talking about. I mean, Monty, that's just what we want. Another blood and guts match with a feud that's not that hot. You know, that's what we want. That's what they were made for. That's why Dusty created it.
For the sickos.
I don't know. I don't know. The Women's World Tag Team Title Tournament, Jamie Hayter and Queen Aminata versus the Sisters of Sin, where we saw Mercedes Moné attack Chris Statlander backstage. The two brought to the ring where Athena helped the CEO lay out the Women's World Champion. Nightingale and Cameron made the save. As for the match, Tekla took out Hayter to the outside, allowing the Sisters of Sin to lay out Aminata with an assisted downward spiral for the win. Gina, was this a surprising result? I mean, I thought Jamie Hayter was getting a bit of momentum. Do you know, maybe not in the tag division, though.
Yeah, definitely. I will admit I didn't predict this. I actually had written a small prediction of the tag tournament out, and I already got it wrong. So I'm glad we're not actually taking those little predictions in, because I had those two done for the win. So yeah, it's not looking good, but it's also like I hope that they will still push some sort of thing for Jamie, because she cannot just like keep taking these L's and not get something back for it, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. And then the main event was the number one contendership match: Bobby Lashley versus Ricochet versus Mojo versus Hook. We got wild action with Ricochet continuing to be a thorn in Lashley's side, and Samoa Joe made Hook tap out to the Coquina clutch, but afterwards Joe signed a contract for his world title match and destroyed all the big Halloween costumes, thinking Hangman was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man monster again. They mentioned it on commentary, but maybe it would help with a clip to show the referencing rather than just seeing some guys getting beaten out. But instead, the cowboy revealed he was dressed as Tony Schiavone as a Phantom of the Opera, only in AEW, taking out the ops and laying out Joe with a buckshot lariat for officials pulled him away. Jaxie, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Because it, again, just felt really long and awkward at times, but I can see what they were trying.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of it, and the reveal of Hangman and who he was actually dressed up as, we got there. But I do feel like this was just very much longed out. And again, it is a pacing issue that AEW have lately. Sometimes you want other things to like sort of escalate from things that take place on AEW, and then sometimes you've just given so much time. You're like, what's going on? Why are we waiting around so long? What are we waiting for? Um, so yeah, there's a pacing issue there for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then there obviously was Collision, but I haven't had time to watch it yet, so we'll cover it on the next AEW show. So that's basically it. Finally, though, Gina, I'll just get your thoughts on AEW, because I know what Monty's going to be like. He's a negative. He's going to be negative. So, Gina, what were your thoughts? You can be negative, well, if you want. I don't mind. You won. You get the chance to talk about AEW this month on this catch up.
I mean, I'm I'm not hating it, and I'm also not loving it. I know that doesn't help, but I do look forward to some things that they have introduced, like the women's tag team tournament. I think that this is going to be great for more women to just be showcased on the show and in storylines. But in other aspects, you're also like, what are you doing with some other members that you have that have kind of come back and then not been seen again, or have a contract with another company and you haven't completely sorted that out yet. So yeah, I do still think like AEW really needs to like clean up its act, and really look into trying to solidify a few more things. But I'm still looking forward to some of the stuff that they have put forward on the match cards and what we think might be upcoming for us. So I'll still give them the benefit of the doubt that we've got a good couple of shows ahead of us.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll find out what AEW does when we get to Full Gear. But that is it for today. Don't forget, we're across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You find the entire WNR team on the banner. Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
I'm on Twitch, X, and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Monty?
I hate wrestling.com.
So negative. So negative. Gina.
You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, and X at Purple Pain.
I don't know why he gets so upset about it. WNR also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email, the WNR at gmail.com, and YouTube done podcast where we're celebrating 10 years of the WNR with shorts, universe mode, and clips from any event. And of course, all the podcast is live on YouTube, also on SoundCloud, on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes. You can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. I should mention as well, at the live show I went to yesterday, someone actually recognized me. And I'm not saying I'm a celebrity, and it's probably thanks to you guys, but they were like, "Oh, you James?" Right? I was like, "Yes, that's me." And they were like, "Oh, you do the podcast?" I was like, "Yes." And they were like, "Oh, yeah, we like the other three more." But again, it's nice to meet your fans. Do you know what I mean? So I appreciate you guys. I guess yeah. Anyway, our next episode will be WWE Catch Up, which will be Crown Jewel and Saturday night's main event, and that will be next weekend. But until then, I've been James Reynolds. We're joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thanks for joining me, Jaxie.
It's been fun catching up, and I look forward to discussing what WWE are getting up to next. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Right, and of course, the mind of Monty. Monty, I know you hate wrestling, man, but come on, it's WWE next week. What could go wrong?
Oh, I'm gonna shit on them too. I'm shitting on them too, baby. Only thing I gotta say is, like Evil says at the end of every promo, with no context. Remember that.
Yeah. And of course, the genius of Gina, the G site's back just in time to make a run for the championship.
Definitely. I knew the G site would come back eventually. Took its sweet time, but we got there. So I'm not going to complain.
That is all that matters. And that is it. Thanks for listening, everybody. And bye.